Have you ever felt like you were stumbling over your words and sweating bullets when you are recording your videos? Well, that sense of awkwardness is not only felt by you, but it also comes off to the viewer. And I don't know if you've ever tried to watch a video that you could tell the person on camera was not feeling comfortable, was not feeling confident. It doesn't feel good. It actually makes us, the viewer, feel uncomfortable. But what if I told you that even the most captivating on-camera personalities that you see on YouTube and social media weren't actually born with it? They've just mastered a few tricks that anybody can learn. Let's talk about it here on episode number 29 of Video Brand Infusion. My name is Meredith, and I'm here to help you infuse the best video marketing strategies into your business so that you become a thriving go-to video brand in your niche. And you don't have to worry about coming off as amateur or like you don't really know what you're talking about on camera because of the awkwardness. I remember one of the very first times that I hit record to talk to my camera way back in late 2014, before I started my channel. I turned the camera on, I hit record, and I just said out loud, "This is so awkward. I can't believe I'm doing this." And I was alone in my house. My kids were not there. My husband was not there. It was just me and the camera in my living room. And I felt so nervous and awkward, even though no one was around to see that awkwardness. I remember just embracing it, feeling the awkwardness, and then going on to figure out ways to not just overcome the awkward talking to a camera stuff as a beginner, but to sort of pretend that it wasn't awkward. But I did have a lot of misconceptions over what it would take to be comfortable on camera. Like, I actually thought that in order to be comfortable on camera, I needed to be physically comfortable while I was recording to the camera. So some of my first few videos, I was just like sitting on the couch, relaxed, which comes off as way too relaxed on camera. I was like slouching. When I played that footage back, I was like, oh, this does not look like any of the videos that I've seen on YouTube at all. However, I still published those videos. They're still up on my channel. They're awful. Don't go watch them. But just know that we all start out not knowing what we're doing and not feeling pro and not feeling confident. So if you've already recorded videos and you felt like you were a deer in headlights and stumbling over your words, I want to show you and tell you in this video what you can tweak and change to move on from that beginner mode. Or if you haven't recorded any videos at all, I want to help you to just completely avoid all of the awkward stuff from the very beginning. So number one, I hear this advice all the time. I see this advice given all the time for when you're talking to a camera to pretend you're talking to a person. And I don't think that's bad advice. I think it's great advice. The weird part of that for me has always been, but it's not a person, it's a camera. And so it's not natural to talk to a camera. There's no conversation happening. They're not making any facial movements or anything like that. And the reality is you literally just have to pretend that it's not awkward. And one thing that really helps me with this is to actually answer comments, questions, DMs, emails, when I know that there is an actual human being that has asked me a question or given me this idea for this topic. It helps to visualize that person so that just in my own mind, I know that I'm not just talking because I feel like talking. I am talking to that person, and that person is waiting for my response. They're waiting for me to make this video for them. And that really helps me to just mentally get into the space of, hey, I can't have a sit down conversation with this person. This is the next best thing. And that's all we're doing here is just sort of having a conversation. I have a really good tip coming up for how to structure and record the very beginning of your YouTube video so that it doesn't end up being a complete turn off before you even get to your good content. But number two, I want to share I think an easy tip if you really truly are brand new to talking to a camera, and that is to stand up. I know you're probably like, my setup is not for standing up. I sit at my desk, I have my camera, I got my lights, got my microphone, created my YouTubicle, as I like to call it, and I totally get that. If you told me I had to stand up to make my next video, I would be like, seriously, I got to get out my tripod. I got to move my cameras. I got to like reconfigure things. But here's what I found when I was very brand new to talking to a camera. I heard this advice from John Lee Dumas, who records podcast episodes. And he said he records them all standing up. He interviews people and he's standing up the whole time. And to be honest, I didn't really understand that advice at first, but I tried it. And once I tried it, I got it. I understood what was happening because I think our brains, I'm sure there's a study about this somewhere. I should probably look it up because I keep sharing this tip. Our brains, I think, naturally recognize that if we are standing and talking, we must be saying something important. We must be saying something that people care about, and we must be somebody that people want to listen to. Think about any speech you've ever seen. Is the person doing the speaking the one standing and everyone else is sitting? I think it's just natural. Either it's ingrained in us as humans or it's been programmed into us as humans. But it's a really easy way to trick your brain into being more confident and exuding more of more energy and more confidence in what you're saying. And there was a time when I first started my channel that I stood for every single one of my videos. And a lot of mine were like how-to tutorials with screen recording. So I was only really recording like the intro and the outro, or I was recording myself and then adding B-roll screen stuff. But yeah, I was standing throughout the entire video because I realized that it was so effective for me to just flip that switch and stand and instantly have all of the energy that I needed and all of the confidence to talk to the camera. And I noticed when I was editing my videos too, there was a big difference between how I presented myself when I was standing versus how I presented myself when I was sitting. Now, if you've watched any of my videos in the last couple of years, I hardly ever stand. Now that I have the experience to know what it takes to have that kind of energy, what it takes to feel confident talking to the camera, I don't have to trick my brain into it, right? Like I feel the energy. I feel confident on camera when I'm sitting down. And to tell you the truth, there are times like today, right now, I'm recording this on a Friday. I didn't really feel like doing my hair and doing my makeup and recording a video. And so when I'm not feeling the energy of being on camera, but I know that I need to record something to get it out, what I like to do is listen to music that basically just makes me feel happy and makes me feel like a little bit of a higher energy. I listen to that while I'm getting ready, while I'm doing my hair, while I'm doing my makeup, while I'm figuring out what I'm doing. It sounds like such a simple tip, but honestly it works and it makes a big difference into how I present myself on camera when I'm feeling like high energy versus the low energy of I don't really want to be here. You know what I mean? Obviously that's going to come off on camera. But I think one of the biggest keys to talking to a camera, feeling comfortable, feeling confident, and being viewed as somebody who's confident and comfortable on camera is being fully prepared for the content that you are delivering to the camera. And I'm not talking about writing a script and, reading word for word or memorizing what you're supposed to say at all. However, I think our brain as a content creator, as somebody who speaks to a camera for a living, our brain works differently when we're thinking about the words that are coming out of our mouth than when we are simply thinking about the topics that we already know about. If you're sensing a theme that confidence on camera and being comfortable on camera is all about tricking your brain into pretending that you're confident and comfortable on camera, that would be an accurate assessment here, okay? And this example is no different. If you're creating content around topics that you already know about, which I mean, obviously you are, right? Your brain already understands the topic. You already understand everything you need to know about that topic, but your brain might not be trained to speak out loud about that topic. Unless you're a literal teacher and you're taking the expertise you teach in person and in translating it to the camera, you could be the world's leading expert in any topic at all and not be able to convey it to another person because your brain is not used to having to literally take that information, form complete sentences, and then spit them out your mouth. I think that's one of the reasons why, if you've ever hit record and then you were like stumbling over your words and restarting your sentences, which even when you have experience, you might also continue to do that like me. But if you feel like, why can't I get these words out of my mouth? I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm supposed to be saying here, but they're just not leaving my lips the way that they're supposed to. I think your brain and your mouth are just not used to having to get this language, these words out of your mouth. However, here are a couple ways that you can overcome this. And this is something I used to do way back in the day when I first started my channel. I never scripted my videos. I just kind of had an outline of what I needed to talk about, what I needed to cover. And so what I would do is in the car on my way to work or my way home from work, when I was alone in the car for like 15 or 20 minutes, I would literally just talk out loud to myself. Luckily, I was driving on country roads, not like in a city where people could see me talking to myself, but I would literally talk out loud to myself so that my brain was already primed for getting this information out of my head and then out through my mouth. Now, these days, my commute consists of me pouring a cup of coffee and walking down a flight of stairs, so I don't have that time, but I still do this exact thing. When I'm curling my hair or doing my makeup or even like cleaning up my office, I will often record a voice memo or record directly into Otter and just riff out loud some ideas or thoughts that I'm having that might not be fully formed sentences yet. Maybe I'm just sort of brainstorming with myself, but the ideas are coming from my brain, coming out my mouth, and then I am recording them, which helps me to formulate exactly how I want to word something or how I want to structure a video, or what are the 5 tips for talking to a camera as a beginner so that I can have those thoughts organized. And then I can take the recording like with a software like Otter, transcribe it, and then have it give me an outline. Now, I don't necessarily turn that into a word for word script that I'm like reading from. And since Otter has a chat bot like embedded, you can also ask it questions like, what's the most interesting thing about this brainstorm session? Or what are some questions that my audience might have from this brainstorm session, so that you can even further, give even more details in your content. And you can ask for an outline. So you have an outline created by you, created by your thoughts, and your brain is already like primed for that content because you are the one that created it and it already came out your mouth once. So doing it for the camera should be a little bit easier. I mean, this does make sense, right? The more prepared you are with your content, the more confident and comfortable you're going to be on camera because you are literally more prepared to deliver the content to the camera. And number 4, I had this conversation with a private client where he said, when I try to record a video, I just feel like my brain is drawing a blank. I can't, like the words don't come out of my mouth, and I'm much more comfortable on a Zoom call. Like if someone was on a Zoom call asking me questions, if I was just working with a client, I'd be able to riff for, hours without feeling any discomfort or awkwardness at all. And this made me think that when I am riffing or brainstorming or recording a voice memo, like the example I just gave, a lot of times I am sort of pretending that I'm having a conversation or that somebody's interviewing me. And in episode 16 of the Video Branded Fusion podcast, I actually provided my podcast script outline, and every single block of that outline is essentially an interview question. So when I'm brainstorming a topic out loud and recording it for myself, I'm just going through each of the blocks in my podcast script outline as if someone was asking me that question. And I'll put a link to my podcast script outline in the show notes for this video, or you can go back and listen to the whole episode. It was number 16. But I think this last tip is actually going to blow your mind and completely overhaul how the first 30 to 60 seconds of your video turn out and how your viewers experience your videos when they hit play. And the reason why this is a key on YouTube is the first 30 seconds of your video are extremely important to like the overall reach of your video, how many views it ultimately gets, and how many actual people watch the whole thing and engage and leave comments and then come back for more. All of that rides on what happens in the first 30 seconds of your video, even the first 10 seconds of your video. Now, this is going to sound totally backwards to you, but because the first 30 seconds of your video is so important to the overall long-term growth of your channel, record your intro after you record the rest of your video. So what I'm suggesting is you start recording your video with the content, with like the body of your video. And then after all of that is done, then you record your intro. Now, of course, you're going to edit your video, right? So you're going to take the intro, you're going to put it at the very beginning. But when you wait and record it at the end, you're going to already be in your highest energy, your highest confidence. You're in your zone. You're in the flow, right? That's the energy that you want to bring to the very beginning of your video. That's the person, that's the version of you that you want people to see right off the bat. Now, this might not be part of your workflow forever and always, and this is like the only way you record your videos. But if you struggle with feeling confident and feeling comfortable on camera and you watch your videos back and you feel like, ooh, this is kind of awkward, this is a really great exercise for you. I think you should try it for your next few videos and see if you can tell a difference. Now, I don't do this for every single one of my videos, but sometimes I can just sense that I've sort of gained confidence and gained some energy as I've been recording. And I will just, if I remember to, I'll just say, you know what, let's just record this hook again. And then replace the first version that I recorded. Because a lot of times it just comes off better even if I'm saying the exact same words. So try it and let me know down in the comments if you thought that was helpful for you. And if you're not following any kind of an outline, it doesn't have to be a word for word script, but some kind of an outline when you're planning your videos, I will put a link to my whole podcast, my video podcast outline script, and you can use it for regular YouTube videos, you can use it for video podcasts, you can use it for audio podcasts if you like. But when you have your information and your content organized, it's going to be so much easier to come off as prepared and confident and comfortable on camera, and then your viewers will see you as an authority and not like this awkward person who's trying to figure out how to talk to a camera. And now I'm going to record my intro that you heard at the very beginning of this episode.